Well, hello and welcome to another Hardcore Nuzlocke. Today is part 3 of the 3-part series where we run the single type encounters for 3 different types through Kanto. Those types have been Steel, Dragon, and today we are going to do Ghost. Ghastly is a great Pokemon. Gengar is a great Pokemon. We used this thing in a poison-only Nuzlocke not too long ago, so I know that this run is going to go very well. If we look at some base stat totals for Ghastly, it has a base stat total of 310, which is really good for a first form Pokemon, and it has 100 special attack. That is great, and a base 80 speed makes this thing exactly what you want it. It hits hard and it's fast. Its other stats are a little lackluster, but as it evolves, it gets better. We do have the ability to Levitate, which is nice, making us immune to ground type attacks. Looking at Gengar, its stats are amazing. It has a base stat total of 500. That is the same as Alakazam. What really shines for us, of course, is our special attack and speed, base 130 special attack and base 110 speed. Everything else is pretty good. If we look at Alakazam's base stat total, it also has a 500 base stat total, which is pretty good for a fully evolved Pokemon. However, its special attack is just 5 points higher at 135, and its speed is 10 points higher at 120. Its special defense is 20 points higher than Gengar's, but the rest of the stats here are not that great, which is why this thing is a glass cannon. Gengar is going to be able to stand up to a few more attacks. Now, I foresee most of this run going relatively easy. If we look at the type effectiveness chart here, we have some weaknesses to Ghost, Dark, and Psychic. This list says that we are weak to ground. That's because in Gen 6 they took away the levitate ability of Gengar and gave it Cursed Body. For Gen 3, however, we do have levitate, so we're immune to fighting, normal, and ground types. We have a few resistances here on the chart as well. This Pokemon is pretty good through and through. Most of these gym battles are going to be relatively easy. Once again, Brock is going to prove to be a little bit difficult. I've got a strategy, however. The rest of them we're going to fly through. We should fly through, and by the time we get to Celadon, we can get our hands on the Psychic TM, making this run that much easier. Once again, we named our rival Algorithm because the algorithm is what we are trying to beat both in-game and in real life. If you guys would like to help me beat the algorithm in real life, you already are by watching the video, but you can help a little bit further by liking the video, commenting, and if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. In the last video, we have an uptick of returning viewers, but 56% of you are subbed, where the other 44% are not subbed to the channel. It doesn't cost anything, it takes a few seconds, and it helps out a lot, so if you're not subscribed, click that button, please. We named our Ghastly Blinky. If you get the reference, let me know in the comments section below. It has a timid plus speed minus attack nature. That's a great nature. I wish it was plus special attack, but I'll take what I can get. This Pokemon is great. Let's run through this game. It's going to be relatively easy, I foresee. Before this fight in Viridian Forest, there is a mandatory rival battle in Oak's lab. This is the next trainer that you actually have to fight in the game. You can avoid all the other trainers in Viridian Forest. Then you have to battle this guy with a level 9 Weedle. We are doing more than just battling the mandatory trainers, but I feel I need to show off the mandatory trainers because there are 69 nice trainers that you have to fight in this game. Gym leaders, so on and so forth. The strategy for Brock is relatively simple. Geodude can't hurt us. It has tackle, defense curl, it's all normal moves, nothing can affect us. So we're just going to keep clicking lick until this thing goes away. It does take 9 licks to put this thing in the bag, but again, we can't get hurt. I did edge Ghastly just slightly towards level 15 so we could gain just a little bit more HP when we do level up, because Onix does have a move that can hit us. My plan for Onyx is to try to remove the power points that it has for Rock Tomb with Spite. Rock Tomb only has 10 experience points, so hopefully we can survive. Maybe we'll get a lucky couple of misses, and then we should be able to defeat this thing. I don't understand why Brock doesn't use a full heal. I know he has them. Geodude is paralyzed, and eventually our licks do take this thing down. The defense scrolls don't help, and Gen 3 Ghost is physical, so most of the time if you have a special attacking move or a move that's not resisted, you're fine. An attacking type move with defense scroll just makes the battle last longer. Onyx comes out, and it uses Rock Tomb. We hit it with Lick right off the bat because we want it to use a move, do a little bit of damage, and our speed falls, which is annoying because Onyx outspeeds us on the next turn to hit us with another Rock Tomb. That's 2 power points. We get off a Spite that drops it by 2 more power points. That brings it to 6 power points left. It goes for Rock Tomb again, so it only has 5 more power points. We go for another Spite, and this gets the -4 to power points, so it only has 1 more Rock Tomb, but we are at 7 HP. It uses Rock Tomb and misses. That is a lucky miss, and that is -5. I decided to put this thing to sleep just because I thought maybe it had more power points than 10, but I was vastly mistaken, and we start with the same strategy that we had for Geodude. We start using Lick. We have 18 power points left on Lick, so we should be able to knock this thing out. It's looking to be about a 9 or 10 shot. Onyx at this point only has Tackle and Bind, neither of which affect us. So at 7 HP, we whittle this thing down. It does get paralyzed in the process, and it actually takes 10 licks to put this thing away. Brock can be a challenging first gym leader. A lot of the times, Pokemon have normal type moves or nothing really good. That is why this battle is always a bit tricky. Out here on Route 3, this bug catcher is a mandatory trainer. You can go around this youngster here and battle this bug catcher. If you try to battle the lass, you'll actually stop right above this bug trainer and she will try to fight you, meaning it's 1 more battle, and then this bug trainer right here is mandatory as well. This youngster, there is the Oranberry by it. You can jump down and get it and avoid that battle. This lass, you just have to wait till she turns around and then you can walk past her, so there is only 3 mandatory battles on Route 3. In Mount Moon, you only have to battle this Rocket Grunt right here and then the Super Nerd that is blocking the fossils. I'm battling more trainers than this. We're staying at the level cap as best we can. I just want to show off the minimum mandatory battles. The rival battle in Cerulean is a mandatory battle. His Pokemon now have moves that can kind of hurt us, so the first thing that I do is put Pidgeotto to sleep. If we get some cooperation with sleep tactics here, we can get through this unscathed and get over to Bulbasaur because I know Bulbasaur is going to use Sleep Powder. Thief is a 3-shot unless you get a crit like we just did, and then it's a 2-shot. Pidgeotto does cooperate staying asleep. A second Thief takes out the Pidgeotto. Out comes Abra. Abra's a free win with Thief. You get the Thief TM in Mount Moon, and it's the only thing that we can have to hit normal type Pokemon at this point. After Abra comes out, Bulbasaur comes out, and the first thing that I do is go for Curse. I know this seems like a weird strategy, but Bulbasaur likes to go for Sleep Powder. It does hit us with a weak Vine Whip, it's resisted, and our Oranberry activates. I did grab that out on Route 3 so that we can have a little more health. We go for a Nightshade, which does a solid 19 points of damage, and there is the Sleep Powder that I was talking about. Bulbasaur is getting whittled down because of the Curse Affliction, however. We stay asleep for the next turn. Bulbasaur hits us again with a very weak Vine Whip, dropping us to 21 HP as Curse takes it out. Last up is Rattata. It doesn't have any move that can affect us, so all we have to do is wait for the sleep turns to end and hit this thing with 2 Thieves to take it out. Not a lot of strategies that I could come up with for Misty. I need a little bit of cooperation from the AI and we should be able to win. Nightshade is going to do a cool 21 damage against the Staryu, and Staryu just goes for Harden. That is perfect. Had it gone for Water Pulse, we probably would have wiped here. A second Nightshade is enough to take out the Staryu, and out comes a bulky Starmie. I did do some EV training into speed. We click Thief, and we managed to outspeed the Starmie. Perfect, and Thief does well over half damage. I have the Persimmon Berry equipped as we get hit with a Water Pulse. Luckily, no confusion, but it does drop us below half health. A second Thief and an outspeed, however, wins us the badge, making this a pretty easy win. On Route 24, aka Nugget Bridge, you have to battle these 5 mandatory trainers, and then there is a Rocket Grunt here at the end. It disappears after you beat it, but there are 6 mandatory battles. There are 4 mandatory battles on Route 25. That hiker has 2 Pokemon, whereas this one only has 1, so you come around, avoid this pivoting trainer. You have to battle the Picnicker right here. You have to battle the hiker right here. You can avoid this walking trainer here if we go to the top and wait for it to turn around. And then you have to battle this last, meaning there are 4 total battles on Route 25. 10 total battles between Cerulean and Bill's house. After talking to Bill, you gotta battle this Rocket Grunt, but you get the TM for Dig as a reward. This is the only mandatory trainer on Route 6. I'm trying my best to avoid these trainers because Ghastly levels up fast. So if we come through the grass right here and then come all the way around, we only have to battle that trainer before the SS Ann. The next mandatory battle is the rival on the SS Ann. I need some cooperation from the AI Pokemon as well as my own. Hypnosis hits, which is very nice. I need Pidgeotto to stay asleep so that we can take minimum damage from this fight. I do have to go for Thief because nothing else will hit this thing. And Thief is looking to be about a 3-shot. Pidgeotto stays asleep, we hit a second Thief. Pidgeotto stays asleep again, so we take it out with a third and final Thief. Kadabra's not actually a one-shot with Thief, so I'm going to try to Confuse Ray it and hope it hits itself, and then we can take this thing down with a single Thief. We do luck out, and Kadabra hurts itself in confusion, so the follow-up Thief is enough to take it out. Kadabra could do some serious damage with its psychic moves. Next up is Ivysaur, and this thing once again likes to put us to sleep, so I go for Confuse Ray right off the bat, and Ivysaur does hit itself in confusion. I go for Nightshade, thinking it's going to do a little bit more damage than Thief, and it puts it just below half health. Ivysaur does hurt itself again in confusion, making this a free fight. Nightshade takes it out, and that is it. We have taken no damage in this battle. Last up is Raticate, and it has no moves against us, so all I have to do is click Thief and wait for this thing to go away. Unfortunately, Thief doesn't do half damage, so it is going to take 3 to knock this thing out. We are getting hit with Tail Whips, but that doesn't matter. It doesn't have an attacking move that can do anything. A third and final Thief takes it out. This trainer right here is Gentleman Tucker. He has a Pikachu, and it is a mandatory battle before Surge. Next up for the gym leaders is Lieutenant Surge. His Pokemon can hurt us with some shockwaves, but I think we're going to have a pretty good matchup. We go for Nightshade against the Voltorb. We outspeed it, and we do just over half damage, which is nice. We get hit with the Screech, which doesn't matter because Electric is special in this game, not physical. A second Nightshade takes out the Voltorb. Next up is Pikachu. Pikachu, we outspeed and hit it with a Nightshade for well over half. It decides to set up a double team. The next turn we go for Nightshade and break through the +1 evasion and take it out with a second Nightshade. Now Raichu is pretty dangerous, and I know it can hit us pretty hard with Shockwave, so right off the get, we go for Confuse Ray. We get lucky, and Raichu hurts itself in confusion. Surge then goes for a full heal. We get back-to-back Nightshades, which leave Raichu on a sliver of health. I thought for sure it was going to KO. That's unfortunate. We get hit with a Thunder Wave from Raichu. Luckily, I have a held Cherry Berry, so the paralysis is cured. It's unfortunate that we're using the Cherry Berry here instead of in the Erica fight. Surge then goes for a Super Potion, and I hit a Nightshade. I know a second Nightshade's not going to do enough. I opt to go for Confuse Ray against the Raichu, and luckily, once again, Raichu hurts itself in confusion, so a second, or fourth rather, Nightshade takes out the Raichu, winning us the battle. On Route 9, that Picnicker that you can just see in the upper left there is a mandatory trainer. The Hiker here pivoting is not mandatory, and I don't want to try to get past it again. You can then come up the route and fight this Bug Trainer here, and avoid the Hiker right here grabbing the Chesto Berry. There is a rare candy that also hides right here. And after this, that is the end of the mandatory battles. You can avoid this Picnicker by just coming across here. In Rock Tunnel, there are 8 mandatory battles. I didn't show them because they're on various floors. The Hikers, there are a couple pivoting points where you can go different directions. If you take the southernmost Hiker, they have the least amount of Pokemon, gaining the least amount of experience. On Route 8, this trainer right here is the better of the two to battle. The gentleman has some Growlithe that give out a little bit more experience than the Lass's Clefairy. The rest of the trainers can be avoided by going through the grass. Of course, we have to just get out of the battle. There are a couple of mobile bikers right here, and as long as we stay out of their eye shot, we should easily avoid these trainers. The last trainer to avoid is the Super Nerd here, but if we come up next to the sign and then go into the underground house, we're fine. In Erica's gym, if you come up here and battle this beauty, she has 2 Pokemon. You come up and take out this cut tree here. This beauty has a single execute, and that is the fastest and cheapest way to get to Erica. Since we made it to Celadon, the first thing we did was go to Saffron, get the TM for Psychic, and that makes this battle trivial. We don't even need the Cherry Berry. I don't even have a held item. We just hit Psychic. We're under-leveled. We one-shot the Victory Bell. We end up one-shotting all of Erica's Pokemon, the Tangela, and the Vileplume, winning us a very easy 3rd gym. As a matter of fact, this battle took 58 seconds of real time. It's crazy. I think this is one of the fastest gym battles that I end up doing. In the Rocket Game Corner, of course, this Rocket is a mandatory fight, guarding the poster here, getting us to the Rocket Hideout. The Rocket that holds the lift key is another mandatory battle. Obviously, we need this key to get to Giovanni. These 2 Rockets are guarding a gate that opens after you beat them, so they are mandatory trainers. And then, of course, Giovanni is a mandatory trainer, so there are 5 total mandatory battles in the Rocket Hideout. We should have grabbed the Thunderbolt TM before we left Celadon and backtracked here to the Pokemon Tower. I do have Psychic and the Twisted Spoon, which looks like it's going to be just enough to take out the Pidgeotto. However, Thunderbolt is a move that we are going to get, and you'll see. Next up is Kadabra. We're still using the Thief move. I do have Shadow Punch. Either one of those moves would be strong enough to take out Kadabra. Next up is Gyarados, and this is why I wish I had Thunderbolt. The Intimidate we get doesn't matter. We go for Psychic, and it does well over half of its health. And Gyarados has really terrible level up moves at this point, so a Bite does a significant amount of damage, but nothing to shake a stick at. A second Psychic takes out the Gyarados. Next up is a Growlithe. Growlithe goes down to a single Psychic. Again, the Intimidate drop does not matter. Last but not least is Ivysaur, and we have a super effective move against it, a very strong special attack, so a single Psychic is enough to win the rival battle. On the floor where you get the Cleanse tag, this Chandler right here I chose to battle because she has a single Ghastly. Normally I come this way, but that Chandler has a Haunter. On the Marowak floor, we have to battle that trainer directly in front of me and this Chandler right here. And then of course we have to battle the Marowak. So that is 4 mandatory battles before we reach the top of the tower. The top of the tower is going to require us to battle 3 Rocket Grunts, so we're going to defeat those and get the Poke-Flute. If you take Cycling Road, there is no mandatory battles getting you to Fuchsia. I made it all the way to Fuchsia, and I'm back in Sylph. If we come down this path right here in Sylph and hit this warp tile, we can wait for this trainer to move and get the card key without battling it. If we wait for it to move again, we can open this door and come in here and step on this warp tile, taking us to the 3rd floor. If we wrap around right here, we can go through this door and we can actually avoid this trainer here. It is not a mandatory battle. The first mandatory battle in Sylph is actually your rival. We evolved our Haunter into Gengar, we leveled it up to level 40, and we have taught it the Thunderbolt TM. I go for Thunderbolt against the Pidgeot. I am holding the Twisted Spoon. I did make sure to get a Magnet before I deleted Thief for Thunderbolt, but Thunderbolt is enough to take out the Pidgeot even without the Magnet. Out next is Alakazam. We go for Shadow Punch. A physical ghost type move is enough to take out the Alakazam, despite our weak physical attack. Out next is the Gyarados. I'm glad we fought the Alakazam first because Intimidate drops our attack. Doesn't matter, 4 times super effective Thunderbolt is enough to one-shot the Gyarados. You guys know that. That's a law, a Pokemon law, I believe, that can't be broken. Out next is Growlithe. Growlithe intimidates us once again, but no matter, we go for Psychic, and it is enough to one-shot the Growlithe. Last but not least is our rival's Venusaur. We go for Psychic, and it's not enough to actually take out the Venusaur. We do just get hit with a resisted Razor Leaf, doing very minimal damage. A follow-up Psychic is enough to take out the rival in Silphco, winning us the battle. This trainer just outside of the President's office is a mandatory fight. The first and only mandatory fight besides our rival and Giovanni. I haven't shown off the Giovanni battles because before his gym debut, they're easy. You can see I'm one-shotting his Pokemon with Psychics. Nidoqueen didn't quite go down to a single Psychic, but a second does take it out, and Kangaskhan has nothing that can hit us. I've showed this off before, but this trainer right here and the other trainer right in front of me here and slightly up a tile are mandatory battles here in Koga's gym. They're non-pivoting trainers that we have to battle. You guys want to put some bets in the comment section of how this battle went? Did we win? Did we wipe? Strong special attacker with Psychic against poison types. We one-shot the Coughing. Now when Muck comes out, surprisingly Muck is pretty bulky, so we can't one-shot it with a Psychic, so I opt to go for a Shadow Punch first turn and do a little bit of chip damage. Muck goes for Minimize, so our follow-up Psychic on the next turn actually misses. It goes for Minimize again. We break through the +2 evasiveness, and we hit it with a Psychic to take it out. The second Coughing goes down to a single Psychic, and Wheezing is more physically defensive than special. Little opposite of Muck, so it does go down to a single Psychic as well. If you bet that I wiped, well, come on now. No faith. We go directly to Sabrina's gym. There are no mandatory battles, and I bet you can guess how this goes as well. We use Shadow Punch against the Kadabra, and we one-shot it. Out next is Mr. Mime, and we go for Shadow Punch, and we one-shot it. Up next, she sends out Alakazam. We outspeed, we hit it with a Shadow Punch, and it is enough to one-shot the Alakazam. This battle took exactly 1 minute, real time. Last but not least is Venomoth, who is not a Psychic-type Pokemon, but it is Poison-type, so we use Psychic, and we one-shot it, winning us the 6th gym. There are no mandatory battles between Sabrina's gym and Blaine's. There is one trainer you can battle inside the Pokemon Mansion to get a rare candy, but you don't have to battle it. Growlithe hits us with an Intimidate, which doesn't matter. A single Psychic is enough to one-shot the Growlithe. Out next for Blaine, surprisingly, is his Arcanine. I know Psychic is not going to one-shot this thing. Intimidate doesn't matter. Psychic hits. It does well over half damage. But unfortunately, we get hit with a nasty Fire Blast down to 60 HP. Goodness, Arcanine hits so hard. We get off a second Psychic to one-shot the Arcanine. Out next is Ponyta. Ponyta goes down just like Growlithe to a single Psychic, and last for Blaine is his Rapidash. We click Psychic, health bar ticks down, and it doesn't one-shot. Ponyta doesn't miss its Fire Blast and takes us down to 17 HP. Luckily for us, we tanked it. If it was a crit, we would have lost. A burn, we would have lost. But we made it through Blaine. We are ready to take on the last gym. However, there are 2 mandatory trainers. You've got that cool trainer there and the black belt here before you can take on Giovanni. So now that we've made it to Giovanni, there are no more mandatory trainer battles outside of story progression. We have Giovanni, we have our rival. Outside of Viridian, we have the 4 Elite Four members, and finally the Champion Rival one more time. That is 7 more battles, including this one. Rhyhorn falls to a single Psychic. We're going to outspeed and one-shot the Doug Trio, and Nido Queen and Nido King are both weak to Psychic, so you can imagine how that goes. I have shown off the mandatory battles for a reason that doesn't matter to this run. It does matter in the next run, so stay tuned for that. I've done a lot of legwork and a lot of research between this run, and I did run another run after this for research purposes. It's not a video, it was just me collecting information. I didn't do Google, I did real research. So I hope you guys like the next video, and I hope it does well. I hope they all do well. Giovanni with a very good special attacker and a fast Pokemon. All his Pokemon fall to a single attack, winning us the battle. We have 6 more to beat the run. Our last rival battle for the Elite Four, and we have leveled up to level 55. We have Thunderbolt and Shadow Ball now. We go for Thunderbolt against the Pidgeot, and of course it falls to a single Thunderbolt. Out next, once again, is Alakazam. We go for Shadow Ball. It is a very strong physical move that is Stab. We one-shot the Alakazam. Up next is Growlithe. Hits us with an Intimidate, which doesn't matter. We go for Psychic, and we one-shot the Growlithe. I like that the Alakazam is coming out first because the Intimidate drops don't matter. Rhyhorn is up next. We go for a single Psychic, and we one-shot the Rhyhorn. Next is Gyarados, which hits us with another Intimidate. We go for Thunderbolt, and of course, the laws of Pokemon dictate that this thing goes down to a single shot. Last but not least is a Venusaur. Once again, this is the only Pokemon he has that doesn't go down to a single attack. It puts it down into the red, but Venusaur just goes for growth, so a second Psychic takes it out, and we are on to the Elite Four. Blinky here is holding the magnet. I have the Twisted Spoon in my inventory. We've got some decent attacks: Psychic, Shadow Ball, Thunderbolt, and Confuse Ray. I'm going to replace Confuse Ray with Hidden Power once we get to Lance, because I do have a Hidden Power Ice type. That 209 special attack is beautiful. Our defenses are okay, but our speed is great. 187, we're fast, we hit hard, we're a bit of a glass cannon, so let's see how we fare against the Elite Four. Lorelei's frozen water types shouldn't be too bad of a problem considering we have Thunderbolt. Dugong gets hit with a Thunderbolt and it does go down to a one-shot. Slowbro is pretty bulky, but it does go down to a single Thunderbolt as well. Next up, she sends out her fairly bulky Lapras. We hit it with a Thunderbolt, and it tanks the Thunderbolt with a few slivers of red health. We get hit with a very weak Surf. A Citrus Berry pulls it back into the yellow health, but not enough to pull it out of healing range. Lorelei goes for a full restore. We hit it with another nasty Thunderbolt, a little bit deeper into the red, maybe. And then we go for Shadow Ball to finish it off. Out comes Cloyster, and this thing is a little bit annoying. It goes for Protect on the first turn, blocking our Thunderbolt, but inevitably it gets hit with a Thunderbolt, very weak special defense, and goes down. Last but not least is Jinx, who we decide to hit with a Shadow Ball, one-shotting the Jinx, winning us our first Elite Four battle. Bruno's fighting types stand no chance. Even with 2 Onix by his side, they are going to go down to Psychics as well. They're very weak on the special defense side, we've said this before. The first Onix go down to a single Psychic. Out comes Hitmonchan. We outspeed and take it out with a single Psychic. Next up, surprisingly, is Bruno's second Onix, the one that knows Earthquake. We hit it with a single Psychic, and it too goes down. Next up is Machamp. Machamp falls to a single Psychic like everyone else. And last but not least is Hitmonlee, who befalls the same fate. A single Psychic wins us the second Elite Four battle. Agatha's Poison-type Pokemon stand no chance. We are a fair bit higher in levels than her Pokemon. Her first Gengar is outsped and one-shot with a single Psychic. Out next is Golbat. Golbat is hit with a single Psychic and one-shot. We do level up in the process, which is nice. Out next is Haunter. We one-shot the Gengar. We're going to definitely one-shot the Haunter with a Psychic. Next up is Arbok, who does get off an Intimidate, which doesn't really matter. A single Psychic takes out the Arbok, and up next is Agatha's last Gengar, a little bit higher level. We're only 4 levels higher than it, but a single Psychic is still enough to take it out, winning us the 3rd Elite Four battle. Now, I knew that I would have a hard time against Lance's Dragon Knight and his Dragonairs with just Psychic, so we made sure we had a Hidden Power Ice for this battle. Gyarados, however, is 4 times weak to Thunderbolt, so the laws of Pokemon say that thing goes away. Out next is Aerodactyl. Aerodactyl can be a threat, but surprisingly, Blinky outspeeds it and hits it with a Thunderbolt, one-shotting the Aerodactyl. Out next is Dragonite. Dragonite is 4 times weak to Ice, so we click Hidden Power, and we one-shot the Dragonite. If we one-shot the Dragonites, I'm sure we'll one-shot the Dragonairs. And what's really nice is we've only been hit by 1 single Surf from Lapras, and other than that, we have not taken a single tick of damage through the Elite Four. I bought 5 full restores. I still have 6 left. I had 7 total. Both Dragonairs fall to a single Hidden Power Ice, and we are on to the champion. Here it is, our final battle against the champion algorithm. Will we win? We let off a Thunderbolt against the Pidgeot, and just like every time before this, Pidgeot goes down to a single attack from Thunderbolt. Out next is Alakazam. We go for Shadow Ball, we outspeed it, and we one-shot it with a Shadow Ball. Next up is Gyarados. We go for Thunderbolt. Many times before this thing has gone down, it goes down again. Arcanine comes out next, and we go for Psychic. I know that we're not going to one-shot this thing. However, this Arcanine doesn't have Fire Blast, it just hits us with Flamethrower. It does take us down to 90 HP though. We take it out with a second Psychic, and next up, surprisingly, is Venusaur. We go for Psychic against the Venusaur. I'm expecting it to live, but we must get a high roll or something, and we one-shot the Venusaur. That is crazy. Last but not least for rival Algo here is its Rhydon, but I decided to go for Hidden Power against it, not leaving anything to chance. It is weak to Ice, and we one-shot it, winning us the champion battle, winning us the run. This run was as easy as I thought it was going to be. The early game was a bit more challenging. I didn't think it was going to be that difficult, but Ghastly is a bit frail early on. Once we hit the mid to late game, Haunter and Gengar hit extremely hard, they're extremely fast, and there was really nothing that stood in our way. Having the Hidden Power Ice, making sure we had that early on, definitely helped us with the Lance battle. I think Lance would have been a lot harder, and the only thing that really stood in our way. But Gengar is a beast. Look at that thing. I love this Pokemon. It was a great run. I had so much fun doing it. I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. We did try to show off 3 different things as I went through these 3 different runs, and this does conclude our 3-part series of using single types or single encounters for these types found in Kanto: Ghost, Dragon, and Steel. We prevailed through all 3 runs. I am going to attempt a single type run here 2 runs from now, or a single Pokemon run. Somebody suggested it. I don't even think it's doable, but we're going to attempt it nonetheless. Our next run is going to be something that I've been working on the last couple of runs, doing research and doing legwork. We've mentioned it in this run, and there was a reason for showing off the mandatory battles. So stay tuned for that. I hope you guys are excited for that. It's time for me to quit talking, get this video edited, get it uploaded, and start work on the next one. You guys know the routine. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.